All right, we're live.
We're live.
Been a while since we did a live stream, Avi.
I got to tweet out the link so that people know. I mean, I saw that there were only 91 people in the waiting room.
Oh, it's growing fast. 120 now.
Okay, we're waiting on Trump, who is late per usual. Thank you, Trump. Today's been a very, very, very choppy day, I have to say.
Trump's not late, Avi. It's rude to say Trump's late.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Trump's not late. He's playing 4D chess, owning the libs by not showing up on time.
Exactly.
My bad.
Exactly.
My bad.
It's all intentional. Why would I be on time when it's more advantageous to be not on time?
Exactly. You got to keep the people guessing, right? Keep the people wanting.
I like how you've been tweeting stuff about Trump that's not like fawning. You know, obviously he pumped our bags.
I mean, cool. Look, my politics are my politics. I try to not bring him into crypto. I was a Trump supporter, still am in some ways, but I just I liked us better when we were underdogs. Now that we're on top, it kind of sucks because it allows people to just say really dumb things and then say, but we won the election and kind of get away with it.
Mandate.
And that, and that just kind of pisses me off because there's, what I'll say is that the way that I've always viewed things is that liberals are in the mid curve and Republicans are on both sides of the curve. So liberals are solidly 100 IQ and then Republicans are 80 IQ and 120 IQ.
And 40 IQ.
And and the issue is that I'm just seeing far too much of the 80 IQ stuff recently. So it's kind of getting on my nerves. Hopefully the 120 IQs will be able to get them to stop being so insane, but I don't know.
I already banned one anti-Semite. There was already one guy Nazi posting, and I banned him. It's the live streams are back, everybody.
The Nazi posting is kind of funny to me because honestly, Jonah, what you just did was extremely that was bad for the Jewish cause. I'm not going to lie. You can't just go around banning people because they claim that we're censoring people and that you can't criticize us. Meanwhile, the entirety of X is talking about how the Jews drink children's blood. So I don't know really what they're talking about, but by you banning that person, that proves the Jews control the media. It proves it. You banned somebody.
Well, Jews definitely control this very niche media channel called the 1000X podcast. That is thoroughly controlled by Jews.
Yeah, it's 100% Semite controlled, as they say.
Yeah, exactly. I would say 75%. There's Yano, you and me, and then there's Mike Ippolito. He's not.
Yano's Jewish?
His name's Jason Yanowitz. I don't know.
The dude's definitely never put on tefillin, but anyway.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't know. I'll ask him right now. Hey, have you ever put on tefillin? Conformist says, hello, Avi and Jonah. Hello,
Conformist. Live streaming is great.
Yeah, it is great, especially because, now we've got the prices here and everybody, one of the things that I run into, which is kind of annoying, is that when we record our podcasts, people always, they wait 5 days and then they get mad at me about something that I said 5 days ago. And I have to remind everybody that I am a trader and I do change my views. So when we recorded the podcast on Sunday night, I did say, I will admit it, I said that this was probably a sell the news event. And Bitcoin is trading at $94,000. And then Bitcoin went from $94,000 to $82,000, down 12%. And everyone on Thursday was in my comments, you told me it was sell the news, and now you're tweeting that you're not that bearish on Bitcoin. And I'm like, yeah, dude. From the time I said that, it went down 12%. I don't know how much more to tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
It went down 12%. I'm sorry I changed my view. It's a different price. It's a different market.
Exactly. Different price, different view.
Yeah. And now, just looking at BTC, you were trading at 88, 130, now 121, now 117, now 128. But we're trading at a price that I think is over the next week too low for Bitcoin, given everything that we know and everything that's come out. I mean, I still think that this could be a slight sell the news. Maybe we trade down to 85, but I'm a buyer there, and the reason I'm a buyer is because this is a monumental moment where the U.S. is coming out and saying, guys, Bitcoin is very serious. We've established a strategic reserve, and we're exploring ways to go buy it. Now, we always knew that it wasn't going to be immediate, that the US government was not going to be able to buy Bitcoin right off the bat, that it was going to be a process. But what's clear is that Trump is very serious about it. His Treasury Secretary is very serious about it. His crypto czar is obviously very serious about it. They're going to work on this. And I was having a debate with somebody in DMs, and then I'll stop my monologue, but I was having a debate with somebody in DMs, which says, Trump doesn't take steps. He just does something or he doesn't do something. And so their take, which got a lot of retweets on Twitter, because they publicly tweeted out, I won't name the person, but they publicly tweeted out, I was like, this is not great. Like Trump takes big leaps. He doesn't take small steps. And so this small step to me indicates that we're not going to get anything else. Right? Like this is it. And then he's going to move on. But I view it sort of differently. I mean, if you really think about it, like we're steeped in Bitcoin 24/7. We are deep in the world of crypto.
We bleed orange. Like we drink. We shit crypto. We are.
You bleed orange because you're Jew. I bleed red because I'm not a Jew. But the long story short is that the rest of the world, like they still view this thing as a crazy little experiment. They haven't grasped that this is now a global financial asset. And so, yes, I do think that he's going to take steps with this. And no, I don't think that it's going to be immediate. But 88,000, I mean, look, we're down off of the highs. We're down from 109,000 to 87. That's a 20% dip. And that to me suggests that a lot of the euphoria about Trump has been washed out. And I mean, if you look at OI, you look at positioning, I think people are generally pretty nervous about Bitcoin right now. And I've transitioned my mindset from short-term trader to more, okay, I would like to accumulate Bitcoin below $85,000 a Bitcoin because I think in 6 months it's going to go higher. I do think that we're going to
welcome to the club, Avi. Welcome to the medium to long-term club.
What's funny is that people are like, what do you mean you're changing your time frames? And as a trader, you have to understand what market regime you're in. You have to understand what's coming. And right now we're in mean reversion mode. So if you look at the chart since, for over the last week, it's pure, just literally pure mean reversion. Like that is what the chart is pure mean reversion. And it tends to be that Bitcoin needs some amount of time in mean reversion mode before it goes back into trending mode. And so my take here is that I need to broaden my time. I need to broaden my time horizons. I can't buy Bitcoin and bet that it's up 30% in 3 weeks like I was betting before. I have to say, okay, well, what's a good price for Bitcoin over the next 3 months? Let me wait and be patient and accumulate there. So if you're like, hey, should I buy Bitcoin here at 87,787? My answer to you is be patient. Like you don't necessarily need to buy it right now because volatility is high. But at the same time, I do think that in 6 months, it's much higher.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's an interesting and solid take. I like that you're thinking about it more the way I do this time, which is, long-term view, Bitcoin goes up a lot. Bitcoin's legitimate now. How can I accumulate rather than how do I trade in the short term at the risk of being flat for the big long move upwards? I think, I made a call on the last podcast. We recorded on a Sunday night. It was trading 92K. I said I was going to trade down to 87, and it did. But I didn't capitalize on it, as I publicly announced I wouldn't attempt to do, because I don't think that short-term trading works for me. First of all, I live in a high-tax area, so having my whole portfolio be short-term capital gains is, I don't want that. And second of all, while I was right about that call, being right about those short-term calls is fleeting, right? It gives you confidence to start trading more and churning more, and then you start getting them wrong. Then your tax base is all fucked up, and you risk missing the forest for the trees, which in my case is, much, much higher prices. So I'd rather, do what you're doing. Try to time accumulations rather than trade short-term. Here, to me, this is the most bullish setup ever over the medium to long term. Like Texas just approved, their legislature approved a strategic Bitcoin reserve. The United States of America basically just greenlit a strategic Bitcoin reserve. And I did some back of the envelope math this morning. The value of all the gold at Fort Knox is worth about $450 billion. If you were to sell 10% of that gold to buy Bitcoin, you would wind up with roughly.
That's a huge assumption.
Yeah, no, I'm not assuming anything. I'm just giving you math. I said math, no assumptions here. This is math. So you sell 10% of the gold in Fort Knox to buy Bitcoin, you get 500,000 units of Bitcoin. And there's been some chatter about, hey, the United States wants 1 million units of Bitcoin. If they did that, they'd send the price up $100,000 a token. So maybe they'd get less than 500,000 units of Bitcoin. Maybe they'd get 250,000. I don't know. Just assuming the worst. But at the same time, they are exploring budget neutral ways to increase their Bitcoin stockpile. That's been stated. So we shouldn't assume that they're just going to be happy with their current holdings. We should assume they're going to try to sell other stuff, real estate and other hard commodities like gold, to maybe buy some Bitcoin. They might not do it in the $50 billion range, which is what I just suggested. They might do it in the $5 billion range to start. But the genie's out of the bottle now, and you can't put it back in. And all this does is telegraph to the rest of the world, Bitcoin's legitimate. The IMF can't penalize El Salvador anymore for doing Bitcoin stuff. The United States does it too. Every country is going to start accumulating Bitcoin for a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Even if America doesn't spend taxpayer dollars to buy Bitcoin, other countries probably will, right? So this is a big deal. This is a big fucking deal.
This is the start of the game theory. Now, the one thing that throws the wrench in the plan is just how terrible equities have been trading. And so I do want to talk about that for a minute. I mean, S&P is down, almost 10% off the highs. NASDAQ's down about, a little bit less than 10%. And people are very nervous, and I think rightfully so. If you look at all the moving averages for the S&P, we've broken them. We've broken the 50. We've broken not the 100 yet, but we've broken the 50 for the first time since November of 23. And that's, I think that's causing a lot of people pause. And what people are nervous about, again, rightfully so, is that all of this uncertainty around Trump and the way that he governs and the way that he acts will cause a 20% drawdown in the S&P, will cause a 20% drawdown on NASDAQ, and that drags BTC with it. So why not be more patient, right? And I do sympathize with that view. But before I go into my take, I'd like to hear yours.
Yeah, I mean, so I actually plotted the Bitcoin S&P ratio this morning. I'm going to see if I can share it. Share screen. Oh, no, I can't. It's weird. Okay, so basically I plotted Bitcoin versus S&P, and before the election, the ratio was 12. Now, basically S&P was 1/12 the price of Bitcoin. Then Bitcoin ripped and it went up as high as 18. Now it's back to 15. And 15 is kind of exactly where it was on Friday, November 15th, like 2 weeks after the election. So basically when Bitcoin started to stabilize post-election, you know, that's where Bitcoin S&P, the ratio, is trading. And the reason why the ratio is important is because it helps you kind of disaggregate how much of this current bearish price action in Bitcoin is just market selling off and how much of it is, you know, crypto specific disappointment. So I think a lot of people are completely ignoring they're not like rationalizing in their minds like how much of this sell-off is related to just macro markets coming off and how much of it is like crypto specific. And my answer is like very little of it is crypto specific. There's been some, you know, volatility in this ratio. It went as low as 13.5, and that was the screaming buy. I think basically we need to, Avi, you and I need to look at this ratio and decide for ourselves, like, if this ratio goes back to where it was pre-election, then Bitcoin's a screaming buy. You know, ultimately, Bitcoin is really being influenced by macro price action. And, you know, I guess now I owe you a very hot take, sort of like a soundbite on where I think macro is going. The administration has very clearly telegraphed they're not optimizing for S&P performance right these 2 seconds. But it's also clear they're not going to let the market fall out of bed either. So I think we just get some more chop. I think they keep turning up the heat on markets and tariffs and doing all the things that are freaking out macro investors. But, you know, there is no alternative to buying crypto and buying S&Ps, right? If these things start to crash too hard, the government will step in. They're not going to let a crisis occur on their hands. So I guess the question is, like, how comfortable are you catching a falling knife here, knowing that the administration is going to catch the knife for you at some point, and it's going to rip right back once they do. So for me, like, as long as you're not running any leverage, as long as you're not doing things that could force you to sell the lows, you know, I think if Bitcoin hits 80K, it's a screaming buy with both hands, no matter what. If this ratio goes back below 13, Bitcoin's a screaming buy, no matter what. And if the S&P trades down another 10%, everything is a screaming buy. Because if it goes down more than that, then we're technically in a recession, and all hell is going to break loose for the Trump people.
I mean, recession's based on GDP, but yes, I do take your point.
Yeah. Well, sorry, we're in like a proper bear market, let's call it. And I don't think that the Democrats are going to be nice to the Trump people if he came in with this promise of economic prosperity, and then suddenly we're in like a fucking terrible bear market with unemployment spiking and everything.
But that's, that's a little bit of what Trump is, I think, trying to message around, is he knows that the actions that he's taking right now are going to cause short-term pain. He understands that. And what he's trying to message is okay, well, even if there's short-term pain, don't worry. What Bessent said specifically is there's no Trump put, there's a Trump upside call option, which I think is kind of like a funny way to say things. And really what he's trying to say is that, Trump is not going to announce anything to try to save the market if it's down 10%. Now, if we go back to his first administration, the largest drawdown that that NASDAQ specifically saw
was about COVID, though.
No. Sorry. Let me be more clear. The largest drawdown ex-COVID, was 20%. Was 20%, and that was October 2018 to January of 2019, and I think that probably represents the largest drawdown that the administration is willing to take. I mean, there's kind of nothing that they could have done about COVID, but barring a COVID situation, I think that 20% level, based on his prior administration, is a reasonable level to say, okay.
Well, that's exactly what I just said. I couldn't agree more. The market's already, 8% off the highs. So another 10% drawdown. And I think that's where they start to calm down a little bit with the fiery rhetoric and the tariffs.
The difference is this time, what really matters is that 10-year treasury yield as well, because that's what the administration has said over and over and over that they're focusing on. I do think if we see a drawdown, then we get there. And my looks like Trump's live now, but I just want to finish this one point. A substantial amount of the economy is being driven by the top earners. And that means if the stock market goes down another 10%, then we're going to see the economy really slow in a way that we haven't seen before with a down 20% stock market.
Agreed. All right, let's listen to Trump.
Is he going?
Yeah.
There he is.
He's kind of rambling.
He does that. He does that. I mean, the real thing to watch out for is he going to say we're taking buying Bitcoin seriously? Like that's like the sentence that matters the most. Like how seriously is he taking the concept of buying Bitcoin for the government?
I love Trump. He cracks me up, but he looks like a child signing things with his fucking Sharpie.
You know, he's got his gimmick. I'll let him have it, I guess.
Yeah.
And Bitcoin's selling off a bit here. I mean,
yeah.
I really do think that positioning was washed out. So if you see a dip here, I mean, I'm a short-term buyer of that dip. Like, you know, I'd buy 85 to sell back at 88. I'd probably even buy here as like if we get to the end and there hasn't been a massive sell-off, that's probably a buy because I think people are selling it expecting positioning to wash out.
Yeah, I mean, I think what would be bearish today? I guess he could say like, we're going to look at doing things with Bitcoin, promises made.
I mean, if he says like, oh, it's a long road, but we'll get there eventually. I mean, that would be bad.
Yeah. I think we're going to look at ways to accumulate Bitcoin without costing the taxpayer a dime. I don't know. Maybe not. We'll see. That could be a little bearish, but honestly, I agree with you. I don't think there's any dry powder left to sell for stupid little reasons like Trump's commentary. I think what it would take for Bitcoin to really nuke would be people like you and me deciding, oh no, like the paradigm's shifted back to like the Biden administration in front of our eyes, and we're giving up on our $150,000 thesis because of something major that's being announced. I don't think like little rhetorical things could cause a major sell-off. And he just like there are different time frames, and there are different groups of capital that attach themselves to those time frames. So like I think the medium and the long term, guys are still in and have lots of Bitcoin to sell if something crazy happens today, which I don't think it will. But the short term guys who are just like trying to get in and out for $5,000 a token on Bitcoin, I think you're right. They're all out. The leverage is flush. The OI is down. The day trading community is either sidelined or they've converted like you did to, maybe a more medium term view.
I mean, he's talking, but not about crypto. He's talking about the Olympics and the World Cup right now.
Isn't it amazing that he gets the 250-year anniversary, he gets the Olympics, and he gets the World Cup all in one presidency?
Who the hell is this guy next to him?
I was going to say he looks a lot like Alejandro Mayorkas, the previous head of Homeland Security, but I doubt it's him. Trump probably fired that guy. Xi Jinping just dropped a comment in the Fox News feed. Get to work, Democrats. Democrats, sorry, with a P. Thanks, Xi Jinping.
The FIFA president. Apparently. Thank you, Gouda Eater.
FIFA, the most corrupt organization in the world. You think crypto's corrupt? Wait till you see FIFA.
I think one of the better trades that's going to come out of this, in addition to buying BTC if it doesn't nuke after the end of the summit, is if you can short Cardano and hold on to the volatility, like pick your spots. But I mean, this thing has not retraced its pump, and they've made it very clear there's going to be zero buying of Cardano or any other altcoin. It's just going to be not selling it. if they seize it, which I don't think the U.S. government has seized any Cardano anyway. That's, I mean, I think that's game over for these guys. These guys are going to get washed out, and it hasn't gone down that much because I think people are still holding on to hope. I mean, there are rumors that Garlinghouse donated to the Trump administration, but I don't think that really means anything. Like a long hype short Cardano trade or long BTC short Cardano trade is probably a very good pair here.
Yeah, Cardano's trading. I like short Cardano, long US dollar. I like that pair. So maybe I'm just going to sell a little Cardano right now. Hold on. It's a good trade. I was thinking of doing it, but I just didn't. I don't know. I wasn't convicted enough to do it, but this is what happens when you talk to other traders. You build conviction. Because it's an obvious one. XRP is a little bit a harder one to sell because it feels like there's active participation in the company that issued it. But Cardano is like so clearly vaporware that, you can probably feel better about selling that one.
XRP is tougher because I think that they're very likely over the next 4 years going to go public, especially under this administration. And I think that's a catalyst for them. And also, they had. I mean, if you look at XRP, there's also less room down. So from the time Trump tweeted or Truth Socialed or whatever the fuck you call a Truth Social post, from the time that he talked about XRP in his Truth Social post, there's only a 10% down to the beginning of that candle, whereas Cardano still has another 20% to go. And again, I think these are short-term trades. I mean, past that specific mean reversion, I wouldn't take the trade. And I think this is important just to reiterate. You always have to know where your edge is in these types of trades. And the edge is that the buyers on the headline that, ADA might be part of the strategic reserve, blah, 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 all this, those guys are going to get washed out at some point.
Yeah.
And that might, what I'll say is that might also be relative to BTC. So if you're really going to trade it, I'd buy it against, or I'd short it against BTC. I wouldn't necessarily do it outright, although that could work as well, given the amount of sell pressure. But it's really against the other assets that makes sense. I mean, Sol is, somebody said I was short Sol, just added ADA. Sol's a little bit tougher because it has the unlocks associated with it. So I think a lot of that negative price action was sort of baked in. Like if you go to the Sol chart, it's basically already retraced the full candle.
Mm-hmm.
And so short Sol is, I think, a little bit more dangerous than short ADA, but short ADA, I think, bleeds.
I wouldn't short Solana. I mean, Solana has real stuff going on. Solana, they could come out tomorrow and announce with some crazy new product or service on their chain, and you'd get your eyes ripped out. Cardano, that you're just not running that dual risk. Yeah,
100%. I mean, Bitcoin's actually holding up here a decent amount, despite the fact that Trump's not talking about it or anything at all. Talking about the World Cup, but I do think this is a promising sign.
I just sold some Cardano. You can watch me get my eyes ripped out live on the 1000x live stream if Trump shows up in the next half hour and is like, Cardano is going to be a critical element of the reserve. We're going to buy as much of that one as we can. The rest of them budget neutral except Cardano.
Yeah, I'm a buyer of BTC here. Cut under, we can cut under 87. I think that's a reasonably good trade given how it's been reacting to this. I mean, you have to remember that we went up to $94,000 in a straight line after Trump announced this SBR, and then we went down in a straight line 15%. Yeah. And then yesterday, on the David Sachs tweet about Bitcoin being held but not necessarily being bought, I mean, what he specifically said is they're exploring budget neutral ways to add Bitcoin to the balance sheet, of which, by the way, there are a few that they can do without congressional approval. So that's promising, at least. Even if they buy a tiny bit, that's a very good sign. But we sold off basically in a straight line down, 7%. That washed out all of the positioning. And if you look at OI now, I mean, we're pretty flat to the point where I think that this level becomes a good base for BTC. This 85 where we couldn't break before to 87 level.
It's a good psychological level too, because Bitcoin was kind of like before the election, Bitcoin was kind of like 55 bid at 75-ish. That was the range. And so if we trade too far below 85, then suddenly we're in the pre-election range, which makes no fucking sense whatsoever, because in hindsight, it's clear that, a Kamala administration would be very different towards crypto than a Trump administration. So if you're trading in like Kamala administration territory, you're supposed to own it, because the policies of this administration are so clearly, constructive on a relative basis to the previous range.
That's why I really subscribe to the idea, by the way, that, I mean, we're like kind of reasonable. I mean, think about this. We're reasonably close to prior highs, given the fact, I mean, we're 15% away from prior highs that occurred in a period where none of this was taking place. And so to me, what that suggests is that a lot of the weakness is directly tied to equities. And based on what I said at the beginning of this podcast, that I think 20% down is a bit of the limit for Trump. We're at least reasonably close to the end. I mean, if NASDAQ went down another 10%, I think Bitcoin would be probably 78, which in the grand scheme of things is really not that far from here. Another 10%. I mean, I think you're just supposed to be a buyer at that level.
If NASDAQ goes down another 20%, Cardano, 10%, sorry, NASDAQ down 10%, I think Cardano's down 50%.
Which is why I really like that long BTC short Cardano trade.
Yeah.
This is the type of market when things are uncertain and there's a lot of mean reversion and equities are doing poorly. There are really only two things you can do in this market. And that's accumulate when you think prices are very cheap, or pair trade. And the best pair trades I can see in this market, again, are the short Cardano, long BTC. I do still like the long LTC trade, because I think it's very likely that it gets an ETF and outperforms the rest of the market because of that.
Well, now, the last time we discussed Litecoin, it was trading $140 a token, which was like basically cycle highs. You said you liked it. Then I asked you, do you really want to buy it on the highs? You said, no, I don't. Now it's down 30%. It's trading 105 a token, which is bottom of the post-election range. And I like it here too.
Yeah. I mean, the BTC ratio is trading at 0.0012. And I think we can probably get up to 1.4, which is a 20% move, about.
Yeah.
18% move. And so I think that's actually a reasonable trade as well.
So here's the trade. Buy Litecoin, short Cardano.
That's a good, yeah. I think that's a very, very reasonable and good trade. Other than that, I mean, the market's kind of uninspiring. You have some potential for these revenue generating protocol. Like if Bitcoin gets a bounce, I think they're going to be the first to be bought. But you need to bet on a sustained trend from BTC in order to see these guys do well. Like I think if Bitcoin's at 95, Aave is probably up 40% in that particular scenario. One thing I've been, that I was right for about 3.5 days, and then started nuking, was the AI coins. It looks like they've got more to go.
More nuking to go?
More nuking to go, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, I posted about this. I got a lot of shit for it this morning. I posted that, using virtuals and realizing that a no-code agent platform produces terrible agents. Virtuals was still on the highs. We were using virtuals. Our agent was terrible when it was a no-code agent. like that would have been the cue for me to like sell. But I held on because I've got this mentality that holding on works because it's worked for me in the past. It's still working for me with Bitcoin, with Solana. It worked for me with Ethereum back in the day. Like I've got this like buy and hold on for dear life mentality. It's so destructive to have that mentality in this market for anything that isn't BTC, because like even when the signals are clear as day, like, hey, this product is not what it's supposed to be. A no code agent is like, it's like we were holding virtuals tokens when it was clearly the next friend tech. Like no one used it, no one cared. And I didn't sell fast enough because of my hodl mentality. You know, just got to be mindful of that stuff. So I posted about that and people interpreted it at me as like they're shitting on me because I recommended virtuals. But even though nothing I say is financial advice, and even though I owned that loss on the podcast and on Twitter, just want to say it again, like I made that mistake and I'm determined not to make that mistake again, which is I have to use the chain, see if it's good or bad. And if it's bad, get the fuck out immediately.
Yeah, I think one of the things that was tough there is that at the time, I mean, it was the best out there. And what I didn't necessarily appreciate is just how fucking annoying a lot of these AI agents are.
Yeah. They're so bad.
They're, you know, they're now they're like commoditized under every single fucking tweet. And they're a lot of people block them. A lot of people get annoyed about them. But I still think, you know, maybe I'm delusional, but I still think that changes pretty significantly once they become good, which
I think
is
so
probably based on the progress of development right now, 6 to 12 months out.
Yeah, I don't think you want to sleep on them at low prices. Let's look at the funding though. Jack from the chat put in a good tweet. Said funding is still negative across the board. Is that true? Let me pull up my dashboard here 1 second.
And we're live with Trump.
Oh boy.
No, funding's not negative. It's flat. I mean, it's lower for sure. Than
yeah, it's not strong positive.
Yeah. It's basically flat, which kind of is negative for BTC because the average is, you know, 0.1.
Yeah.
I mean, XRP is negative. Cardano's negative, which is something to watch out for. Probably short. I mean, you know, shorts closing, which is part of the reason keeping it up. But I do think that inevitably spot takes that over and bleeds it lower. Okay, I mean, so basically, we've in 38 minutes on this stream, we've articulated 3 different trades. One is if Bitcoin is above 87 at the end of this, it's probably a buy. On a massive sell, like on a steep sell-off, also probably a buy. I would say Cardano is a great short and Litecoin is a good long. So that's you know, a few actionable things that you can take away from this stream. If nothing else, you know, if you take away nothing else from this stream, at least we gave you that.
Yeah. Luckily, nothing we say is financial advice. So no one's actually going to do any of that. Or if they do, it's not because we said so.
Listen to me or you.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Is your stream up today?
Yeah. I just see a room with a bunch of guys in suits, including the Winklevi.
Fucking Winklevi. They really crushed it.
They're everywhere.
Didn't they? All right, Trump, he's coming out. Come on. Yeah, I'm not, you know. Okay, now we're already up $600 from when I was like, okay, time to let's see if this continues. It's a bit. I mean, it's just such a choppy market, Jonah.
Yeah.
I mean, when you were trading actively at Cumberland and you were trying to design strategies, I mean, how would you trade these events?
With robots. I would not actively click trade these types of things. Oh, with trade events. It's So in volatile markets, I wouldn't actively click trade. In events, I would sort of. I just wasn't a big events trader, Avi. This isn't my forte. You know, obviously, if something is a paradigm shift like the election, I would buy. Like even in my post Cumberland career, I would buy a rallying market. You know, because if it hadn't priced enough, but like things like this, I wouldn't actively trade them. One sec.
Where'd Jonah go? Looks like it's just me and you boys. Hop in the YouTube comments if you want to say anything to me. Looks like we're trading all right. We're actually starting to outperform a bit on the equity side. What is this guy gonna say? You know, that's the crazy thing is you never know what's gonna come out of his mouth. Like an offhand comment like doing my best to buy Bitcoin, send this market up 5%. Welcome back, Jonah.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Still haven't got the stream to load.
Oh,
when 1000x to $5, very actually I can't say that, but we are actively working on a terminal which is going to blow out every.
It's going to blow your mind. It's going to be better than Bloomberg.
Basically, well, okay, let's not go that far, but it's going to be good, and I think all the people that faded it are going to be very, very sad.
I think so too. Honestly, yeah. Wow, what the heck is going on here in this room? Is that a Bitcoin?
I don't need. Where are you seeing this? Send the link in the chat.
Yeah. Here, click this. There's a trophy, a giant gold trophy.
What's crazy is that literally every stream that I click on just has like an infinite amount of.
I'm watching the Fox stream. Let's watch the stream together. So basically we have Trump. To his left is Scott Bessent, the very first hedge fund manager in charge of the US Treasury. So anybody who's saying that I'm wrong and that he won't sell gold on the highs to buy Bitcoin before it 10x's, I just want to remind you, the American Treasury is being traded by a Soros Cub hedge fund manager. That's sitting to his left. Then there's Howard Lutnick to the left of him, the guy who manages the Tether Treasury and is, I would say the scammiest person in the administration by far. Then to his right is David Sachs. I have a lot of respect for that guy. To the right of David Sachs is an unknown guy in a suit. And to the right of that guy is Michael Saylor, literally the Bitcoin buyer of this cycle. So I think this is going to be a banger. It's already looking like it.
Why do they keep talking about FIFA?
I don't know, but Trump is doing the stop talking about FIFA. I want to talk about pumping your bags. Why are we watching this? I'm muting it. Somebody talk to me when it's something we care about again.
Is that a yellow orange tie that I see?
Oh my. Oh, here we go.
if this were 3 months ago, FIFA coin would already be at 300 million.
Imagine seeing this lineup and this YouTube video last summer. Imagine if you could look into the future and see this summit. What price would you associate with Bitcoin? Like, we're in the middle of the Biden administration and somebody shows you this YouTube video from March 7th, 2025, Avi. Avi.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine it's last summer, you don't know the outcome of the election, and somebody from the future shows you just this YouTube video with these people.
Bitcoin would be at least $10.
Here he goes.
America will be the Bitcoin superpower of the world, crypto capital of the planet, historic action to deliver on the promise. He said the word strategic Bitcoin reserve. Virtual Fort Knox for digital gold. He called it digital gold. It's a big thing. That's his words. Sad he didn't say bigly. Why didn't he say bigly? That's sad. He's hoping for a bigly. Already among the largest holders of Bitcoin, federal government. $200,000 Bitcoin owned by the U.S. government. Billions and billions of dollars.
Okay. Billions and billions.
The rule that every Bitcoin knows very well: never sell your Bitcoin. That's a little phrase that they have.
Nice.
I don't know if that's right or not. Who the hell knows, right?
Bearish.
Never sell your Bitcoin. He said, I don't know if that's right.
But so
I don't
far,
like that.
It's been right. And well, let's keep it that way.
Who knows? But so far, it's been
Treasury
right.
and
Let's
Commerce
keep it that way.
Departments
That's
will
bullish.
also explore new pathways to accumulate additional Bitcoin holdings for the reserve, provided it's done at no cost to the taxpayers. We don't want any cost to the taxpayers. In addition, my order directs federal agencies to conduct an inventory of all crypto assets currently held by the U.S. government and determine how they can be transferred easily to the Treasury. Non-Bitcoin digital assets will be held in a new U.S. digital asset stockpile where they will be managed properly. My administration also is working to end the federal bureaucracy's war on crypto, which was really going on pretty wildly during Biden until the election came about. About 5 months before the election, he became a big fan because he heard how many people were in favor of it and how many people love it and respect it. But I guess it didn't work out too well for him. People understood what was going on and paved the way for groundbreaking innovations in institutional finance. Under the Bitcoin administration, regulators strong-armed banks. I mean, they really did. They strong-armed banks into closing the accounts of crypto businesses and entrepreneurs, effectively blocking some money transfers to and from exchanges, and they weaponize government against
Preach,
the
Donald.
industry. But I know that feeling also. Maybe better than you do. All of that will soon be over, and we are ending Operation Choke Point 2.0. Now, some people really suffered. It was ridiculous what they were doing. But in the end, they came around, but they came around for the wrong reasons. They came around only because they wanted votes. And they saw that tens of millions of people were against them because of what they were doing. I also want to express my strong support for the efforts of lawmakers in Congress as they work on bills to provide regulatory certainty for dollar-backed stablecoins and the digital assets market. They're working very hard on that. This is a tremendous opportunity for economic growth and innovation.
Sounds like he's not going to say anything too interesting. So maybe a small sell-off here.
really go a long way. I think he's going to be a tremendous, we feel like pioneers in a way, of tremendous method of growth. And things are very much tied, and we want to keep it that way. The U.S. dollar, long into the future, we're going to keep it that way. I hope lawmakers will send that legislation to my desk before August recess if they can.
All right, let's wash out
And
the people that
very
bought for
much
this.
working with you, and you
And
know a
then-
lot of them, and a lot of them were committed right from the very beginning. So I just want to congratulate you all for being at the White House today, and a man who knows
Yep.
more about Bitcoin.
You know, it's
and
not
AI
selling
and
off
just about everything
Litecoin.
else than anybody. David Saxton, I'd like to have you say a few words, David.
Thank you,
All
Mr.
right.
President. We're all here today
David
because
Saxton.
of
Sell your
leadership,
Cardano,
your
I
vision,
guess.
and your generosity. And I
Already done.
want to thank you for that. We're also here because of your desire to make America great and to introduce a golden age in America, including for digital assets. And we're here because of your love of innovators, or as you might say, high IQ people. We know you love high IQ people. And we have about 30 of them here in the room today. These are the top people in the digital asset industry. And one other thing that I think that you love is legal fairness. This is an industry that was subjected to prosecution and persecution for the last 4 years, horrible lawfare, and nobody knows what that feels like better than you do. So we really appreciate the fact that you understand legal fairness and that you're always going
Obsequious,
to fight
fawning.
for the right thing.
Those
for
are
legal
words that
fairness.
come
You
to
never
mind
back down. You stand to
right
fight,
now.
even in the face of an assassin.
He's kissing the ring.
Yeah.
It's an inspiration to everyone in this room, I think.
Inspiration. Yes, Your Highness. In oil, they call people Your Excellency.
Thank you.
Various
So I
ministers.
just want to say it's an honor to work for you. It's an honor to work for a president who works every day to get so much done on behalf of the American people. Your administration is moving at tech speed. It's really amazing. It's actually faster than any startup that I've been part of. Is that your administration moves even faster? So I just want
Stop
to say
kissing
thank
me.
you for having me be a part of it.
What's the
I've
ring?
enjoyed every
I
minute of
don't
it.
think
I
he
love
will.
working for you. And,
But that's
thank
good.
you
I mean,
again
we
so
had
much.
we had our dump, we cleared positions, and now we can go up.
Yeah.
Good.
David, so today.
Let's sell your Cardano
when
while you still
President
can.
Trump has signed the executive order to establish the strategic Bitcoin reserve and stockpile, we're going to position the United States as a leader among nations in the digital asset strategy. It's important for the United States to recognize this fact and get ahead of the other nations in the digital age. We applaud the president's direction to use the digital assets already in possession of the nation, and we are going to establish this Bitcoin reserve. We will use this authority to augment the asset side of the United States balance sheet. As I've said many times, President Trump is creating assets for the American people, while most past presidents have created debt. And a large part of this asset program can be in digital assets. We are going to end the regulatory weaponization against digital assets. The Biden administration's actions did nothing other than punish innovators, and that all of you have made it here today is really a testament to your fortitude. Much of Treasury's responsibility in this order relates to the tax code and determinations around risk weightings, and I'm here to assure you that we are going to work with the controller of the currency, the IRS, and we're going to rescind and amend all applicable previous guidance. And
Crypto doesn't like
going to
this.
put a lot of thought into the stablecoin regime, and as President Trump has directed, we are going to keep the U.S. the dominant reserve currency in the world, and we will use stablecoins to do that. Thank you.
Well, that's a big one. We're going to use stable coins in the Treasury? Bullish AF.
Technology is at the foundation of the Trump presidency. He understands technology, he embraces technology, and he's going to use technology to drive America forward. The blockchain and Bitcoin technology are a key part of that thinking, and embracing that and here today shows how much a leader the Trump administration and our president is. He understands it. He embraces it. As you said, you're a pioneer in this place, and this is where we're going. We're using the blockchain. We're using Bitcoin. We're going to use digital assets to pound forward, and Donald Trump is leading the way. Can't be more proud of you today.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Howard.
Nothing is
Kelly,
getting
go ahead,
said.
please.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is truly a historic day, and as a crypto founder, I couldn't be more proud to be part of your administration. You're moving at the speed of tech for sure, and I will just say it's a great day to have the war on not just crypto, but the war on innovation done. And under your administration, we are truly going to enter into the golden age. And I'll just say, as the administrator of the SBA, small business is a tremendous network that crypto can be deployed against. And so the SBA is open to crypto. So I look forward to working with all of the leaders in this room to advance your efforts here. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you very much.
Kelly Loeffler.
All right. Sub
Mr. President, I wanna say
87, I
thank
think,
you.
is reasonable
I want to
here.
thank you for the amazing
Let's see if we
team
can
that you
get to
put together. I wanna
85 by
thank
the
you
end of
for
the
David. I mean, this
conference,
kind
and
of
then
a
you
meeting,
can
Cardano
buy it until
is-
this
could have
thing's
envisioned this just
wiped
a
Down
couple
out.
years
only.
ago.
Cardano
You
Yeah.
are the
can't
one
catch a
that has
bid.
the vision. You're the one that said we are going.
But
to
you
do
know
the
what? What's
21st
stable,
century
Avi?
finance right here in the
The
United States.
Litecoin.
LTC, baby.
I've
The
been doing this for
Litecoin.
9 years.
I put on
It
2
is
trades during
amazing
this
how
stream.
far we've come, and that's a
I
credit to
sold
you, Mr.
ADA
President,
when
and
we
your
talked about
leadership.
it and
God
bought
bless you for
LTC when we
doing this,
talked
'cause
about
it's
it.
gonna make a huge
'Cause why
difference
not?
with everything else you're doing.
'Cause
And
why
by the
not?
way, Americans love it.
Equities closed
They're going
nicely,
crazy.
actually.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I
Thank you
think
very much.
Norm Dow is right. They're just going around the table. They're going to say one
Say
nice
one-
thing
I'm
about
gonna say
Trump, how
a
big his
couple
dick
words.
is, how cute his hair
You're
is.
very shy in front
Actually,
of the camera.
Cameron, I think
Brian
you said
Armstrong.
something earlier that I thought
Oh,
was
no.
really profound. You said that a year ago, you thought it would be more likely that you'd end up in jail than at the White House. You, not to put you on the spot, because you didn't do anything wrong, but that was the environment a year ago. But do you guys want to say something, either one of you?
Sure. That was actually Tyler who said that, but it's all
Sorry,
right.
I still get mixed up.
But yeah, we never thought that we'd get attacked the way we did in our backyard after trying to do the right thing for so many years and always trying to raise the bar with respect to regulations. So it's truly wonderful to see how things have changed and how the pendulum has swung back in the way that it has. And we've always felt that the U.S. should lead in Bitcoin and crypto, and it's ours to sort of lead and win. And it's just wonderful what President Trump has been doing with this, and we look forward to working together. And thanks for inviting us, David, and setting this up.
Thank you. Thank you both. Please.
I was just going to say, thank you, Mr. President. Cameron takes credit for a lot of my things I say, so it's not the first time. But the U.S. won the internet, and the U.S. should win crypto. So thank you for your leadership on this.
Thank you both very much. High
What
IQ
simulation are we living in
individuals
where
around
those
this table.
guys
That's what I always say. We need high
are
IQ.
talking to the president about
So Thank you very
Bitcoin?
much. Would anybody like to say anything? Please.
I just want to express my deep gratitude for the seriousness with which you're approaching our industry and how you're actually helping guide it in the right direction. I've worked with many central banks in other countries, and when I was working there, I was wondering why I, as an American citizen, can't help the United States financial system reach this higher level that the world is on course towards generally. And so I'm very grateful that finally there's been a new level of kind of common sense and adoption of these ideas. Me and the other people in this room do believe that the crypto, blockchain, Web3 infrastructure is the next iteration.
Oh,
of
he
the
said
financial system.
Web3. It's bearish.
And I think that the U.S. should have its leadership position continue in that new financial system. And I'm very, very happy to see people like David Sachs, Secretary Bessent, Secretary Lutnick taking this very seriously with their time.
Come
I'm
on,
very
come
grateful
on.
Them too. So I'm just overjoyed to see this.
Wash
And
it
I think
out.
It is a big part of how the U.S. can continue its role in the global financial system. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I thought it was very important that we stay in the front of this one. This is a big one. And as you know, China is pushing forward and very strongly as usual, but we're way in the lead. As you
China
know,
is pushing
AI
forward
and
on
other
Bitcoin
things,
very
and we wanna
strongly.
Stay there. So I thought this was very important, and we have some brilliant people sitting around this table. And it's an honor to have you involved, but we want to stay at the forefront of everything. And this is a very important.
I guess they
day in your
unbanned
lives.
it.
I know you worked, some of you, very long long before people really understood what was happening. And so I congratulate you, but this is a big day. Being in the White House is a big deal, and you have great support. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much.
Is that it?
Might be.
Thought this government was
Looks
supposed
like-
to be
Very much.
efficient.
Thank you, media. Thank you. Please.
Oh, questions. This is where the fireworks happen.
LTC, BTC, just up only.
LTC, ADA.
Thank you,
up
Litecoin.
only. Okay. I'm just going to ask our producer a quick question here. Don't you want to keep the stream on for the media questions? That's usually interesting, no?
Well, that was fun. We did our best, Jonah.
We did a
And
stream,
now-
Avi.
We did a stream. We gave you guys some interesting trades, some of which are working already, some of which are not, because I thought that Bitcoin would hold up a little bit better. But let's just now we wait for the inevitable flush and then the buying of the flush. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you. End stream.